Hey guys, this is the Bump and Grind hike here in Palm Desert, California, in the Palm Springs area. It's about a 4-mile loop hike. There's an optional little extension you can do up to the top of the area, which is where I am right now, where you can see San Jacinto and San Gorgonio, two of the higher points or highest points here in Southern California. So really beautiful hike. It also goes through a lot of beautiful desert terrain, and it's right next to civilization, so you can literally park your car on a city street and then do the hike. So it's great. It's also really popular. It's probably one of the most popular hikes that you'll find here in the region. So leave early, beat the heat, beat the crowds, and make sure you bring water and all that stuff. If you want the full lowdown on doing the hike, I have a full guide on HikingGuy.com, and there's a link to that right under the YouTube video, but it tells you about parking and what you should bring and all that kind of stuff. But otherwise, let me show you the turn-by-turn directions to get up to this spot.
All right, so the hike starts on Painter's Way, and it's street parking. It's right behind a mall, so you can go to your Chuck E. Cheese and then do the hike if you'd like, but I'd recommend doing it at sunrise. It's the best time, or close to sunset. You come up this little path here, and you can see some signs. It's going to say the Bump and Grind Trail is to the right. Technically it is, but there's also the Bump and Grind Loop, and you'll see a sign for that right here. That's what we're going to do today, the Bump and Grind Loop, which is the popular routing of the hike. And you'll see the trail is easy to follow as it heads uphill, and you can see it sort of winding up ahead of you as a ribbon right over there. And we're going to climb up. There's a couple of little access trails down to the left over there, down to different parking areas in different neighborhoods. We're going to stay in the main trail and keep heading upwards. You don't get to go downhill quite yet at this point after going a couple hundred feet up. We're going to keep climbing up here, and eventually you're going to come up to the ridge here. You're going to come around, you get nice views down into Palm Desert and the surrounding area. You can see I'm doing it at sunrise, and the sun isn't even hitting this part of the trail yet, so it's a good time to do it. Now the trail finally climbs around, and you sort of reach the peak, and you'll see in the distance the trail zigzags up there. It bumps and grinds up the hill here. This is actually the Hoplong Cassidy Trail, an old Western, I guess, character you'd call him. And we come down here, there's an intersection. Now we can either go straight or we can go to the left here, but we're going to go left and then up the trail over there as we climb up. And when we come up here, we're actually going to be going up something called the Jeffries Trail, who is another Western actor who has a trail named after him here, also Palm Desert resident, no surprise there. But right away, once we go past that junction, we're going to have to do the steepest part of the hike. And you can see it's pretty steep here. You know, it's not crazy, but it is steep. It is why they call it a workout. If you read the different guides and reviews, and you can see there's little switchbacks here as we go back and forth. You can see the folks up top there heading up. It's a steep one, but you can just, obviously take your time. This is the steepest part of the hike as you go up here. So once you get done this, there's a little bit of climbing, but it's nothing like this. And here we can get towards the end, and once we get towards the end, you'll see the trail in the distance over there to the right, kind of going along the ridge, and that's where we're going to be going next as we go up here. And once we get to the top, there's a little dip down here through the gully, and then we're going to go along around that ridge over there. Once you're around the ridge, there's another trail sign here, another intersection. Now, the part to the left here is actually the Bump and Grind Trail, and it's not open for a few months in the spring, so make sure you check the guide to check that out. And there's a sign here. They close it because it's an area where the endangered Peninsular bighorn sheep raise their young, their lambs up here. So it's only open for part of the year, or closed for part of the year, but open 9 months. So make sure you check that out before you go. And if you don't want to go up here, you can't go up here, you can just continue on the loop. But if you do go up here, you keep going up this wide trail, and you'll see in the distance there that bump is where we're going on this little out and back portion of the hike. Right there, there's a nice viewpoint. Here you can see that some people have left, some other hikers have left some water cache here. Make sure you bring enough water to do this hike. It's obviously a desert hike. It's not long, but people do get in trouble here. There are search and rescue efforts here because people are not prepared. It is the desert. Prepare accordingly. Now when you get to the end of the climb, there's a split. We're going to make the right. It's just a little loop, but right from here, like I showed you before, you can see San Gorgonio, San Jacinto. Beautiful, beautiful views from up here back towards the west. Now we're going to go up around this little loop at the end of the spur here, and there's some signs telling you to please respect the boundary where the bighorn are. The bighorn are around here. I've never actually seen bighorn in this area, but a lot of people have, so keep your eyes open. They're usually hard to spot. They're usually kind of blending in with the hill. Once you're done there, you just head back down to that last junction where we were with the gate. From here, we're going to make the hard left and head on downhill back around the second part of the loop here, which is going to be mostly downhill for us. You can see it stretching down below over there. Now as you go down, the trail is nice and wide. There are some trails off to the right, some little shortcuts. We're going to stay to the left on the wider trail as we come down here, and this is actual bump and grind trail. You can do it the other way too, but this way is a little bit easier on your knees and a little bit easier to descend. As we go down here, you can see the trail has a ribbon descending down there. We're going to go down there and to the right to finish up the hike. As we go down, you're going to see the trail get a little bit smaller as it goes around on the loop. Now once we go past this intersection, we're going to be on the Schuler trail. Now Mike Schuler was a local resident. He built a lot of these trails, and he also built parts of the PCT. And this portion, or this part of the hike, and this trail right here is named after him. Now as we get down, we have a little bit of a uphill, and uphill is a harsh word here. You can see it's just a little uphill gradient after a nice long downhill, which can hurt if it's a longer hike for you. But then once you come around, you're going to see a last little set of switchbacks back down to the parking area on Painter's Way where you parked, and you head down the switchbacks, and in no time you'll be back at the start where you finished the hike.
So that's it. That's the hike. It's a really, really fun one. Definitely give it a whirl if you have not done it already. And again, make sure you do it at the right time. Do it early. Beat the crowds. Beat the sun. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link to the full guide right underneath the video. And if you are watching on YouTube, if you could do me a big favor and click that little thumbs up, it's an easy way to say thank you, and it helps my videos and my channel out tremendously. So thank you in advance. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm pretty good about answering most of them. But otherwise, I will see you guys out on the trails with beautiful views like this.